Greetings, friends! On a cool first day of autumn day here. I think the temperature this morning, the low was 42, 43 degrees, somewhere around in there. So definitely cool. And the way this is tracking, I have this feeling that I think it's going to be a colder fall and a colder winter coming up. But speaking of the weather, a number of you were asking how we were doing. We had a hurricane that downgraded to a tropical storm just a couple days ago. And some of you were saying there were reports of us having 100-mile-an-hour winds. Well, we didn't have any of that. We didn't have anything close to that. Actually, we didn't really have any wind here much at all. But we did have a lot of rain, and it was raining pretty good. So we just stayed indoors for the most part. And the chickens, most of them stayed inside. We do have a couple of weirdos that just like to venture out and get wet. The ducks, they always enjoy getting wet. But we're all well here. And speaking of wellness, I did have an injury not too long ago in one of our previous videos. As you may remember, I hit my head. We had an accident with the lawn tractor in the gorilla cart, and I came out of the gorilla cart and went into the lawn tractor as it was moving. And I was pretty sore the next day, and really was tender in here, and I had some swelling here. Thankfully, my eye wasn't hit, because I did get hit here and did have some like carpet type burn from the tire here. But other than that, I'm okay. I do think I actually did have a concussion. I was having a little bit of headaches here and there, but other than that, I'm fine. Selah was a little sad about it and thinking that she hurt her dad, but it was really my fault for sitting in it wrong, and it was kind of just a freak thing at the same time. Well, we're getting started this morning. We're hanging out here with the chickens, and we're getting ready to move them. Here in this area that they've been for some time now, they've been doing an excellent job clearing it out. We also have some fruit trees in here, and it just got to be where it was overgrown. And just about a year ago now, this whole area, I was working on it, clearing out about 100 trees. So we've really been going to town on that. And just right here is an area that has overgrown. We had corn that was growing here, but one of the mistakes that I made is I didn't do a soil test here. So they really didn't produce very well. So we're gonna bring the chickens in here, and we're gonna let them just kind of clean it up, and we're gonna leave them here for a number of months just to add some nice manure to it, and hopefully build up the soil fertility here. And I'm even thinking of just leaving them here for a number of months during the cold season, and just really letting them go to town and just add some mulch to it, and maybe even putting a caterpillar tunnel here for them to be in, and they really fertilize it well. When we were at Polyface Farm, Joel Southen has some high tunnels, and he talked about bringing his chickens in the winter time in those areas, and they really just do a good job of adding nice manure and bedding to those areas. And then during the times that it's producing the growing season, they're out, and the chickens are back out in the field and around the farm. But those areas where the chickens are great, and they're growing corn, and they're growing these huge tomatoes. So we're gonna try to do some of that with with this here. So what we need to do is we need to move this fence here to over here. Good morning, fellas.
Good morning.
Ready to move some chickens?
Yep.
All right. You ready? A little chilly out here?
Mm-hmm.
All right. You gonna get a jacket, or are you gonna do that? You just gonna wear what you have on?
We'll
get you another jacket if you need it.
jacket.
All right, you tough? You don't need it?
No.
Okay. Say no, sir.
No, Paul.
All right. All right, guys, you ready to move them?
Yep.
All righty.
Yep.
All right, fellas, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get the chickens to kind of shift over this way so I can move the fence and block this section off. I have two different types of chickshaws. This one right here has worked really well. It's really easy to move, but right now it's just over time. It just needs some work to it. Tire came off of the wheel, and then over here on the other side, it just wood broke in. So it needs some work. Can definitely be repaired, but it needs some work. And you can see as I just moved the chickshaw here, the manure and things that were left behind and feathers. This will go down into the ground and add some fertilizer here. where we're trying to grow things like our fruit trees. So super excited about that my coworkers are leaving stuff behind. What we want them to leave behind. And this jigsaw chicken tractor was a huge blessing from a friend of ours named Brent. And it has worked well. It's made very well, built so much better than the one that I made. However, there's a couple things that I would do different about it. One, it's pretty cumbersome to move, and the wheels, I would go with a different style of wheels. But we'll still keep it, but it might be one that stays more in a permanent location. Before you do any type of like strenuous type physical activity, even if it's just moving things like jigsaw or chicken tractor around, you want to make sure that you warm up, you give your muscles some time to get some blood flow in them before you go out and just push them. When I was doing personal training, I used to liken warming up, or the lack of it, to putting a rubber band in the freezer and leaving it in and then trying to pull it out of the freezer and then stretch it right away. Rubber band could snap. And you want to think about the same thing with your muscles. Your muscles need to be warmed up before you just take them outside and stretch them. And that comes even more to play as the days get colder. Alrighty, so the new section is open up for the chickens, and they're already getting to town and working on just eating and starting fertilizing it for us. So really pumped up about that. But it's super neat to think back how this area used to be and all the trees that were here. It was so difficult to move the chickens around these areas, of having to work around so many trees just because it was so overgrown. But now that they're gone, we're able to move the chickens easier. We're able to start producing more food in here. We added more fruit trees. There really weren't fruit trees in this area before, but a lot of the fruit trees that were here that looked healthier, we did keep, like our persimmon tree here, and the persimmon trees and the apple trees as well. There's apple trees that were here just on the outskirts of the area, actually are producing fruit for the very first time. Those trees have been here 6 years and really haven't produced anything, but now they're actually producing something. So I've noticed that they're starting to straighten up, as well as they just look healthier in general, and they haven't been diseased this year. And actually taking away some of the overgrown trees has actually created more of an airflow throughout this whole area and even down into the garden, and has made it where we're able to grow things even more in the garden because we have more sunlight, nice good airflow, and it's really been working out. So just really working on managing the areas. Joel Southton said something I really liked. He said, we need more forest but less trees. So here, as we've gotten rid of a lot of the trees, we're trying to build up the permaculture orchard area, but there's in other areas where there's just so many trees, we're culling out those trees and trying to make it more like forest in those areas, like where the goats are over there working right now. We're trying to keep those areas more forest areas, but culling out some of the trees so that way the forest can be healthier. So proper management of the land and working with trees is really important to be able to maximize and make beneficial relationships for us, for the environment, and we'd all just work together in unison. Hey guys, thank you for your help. Next, if you could go around the fence and hammer in just the post for us, just to make sure that they're in, hammer the stakes down at the bottom. Yes. Just like that, Micah. There we go.
Don't hit me in the head.
No.
And blow.
Let's not hit you in the head and knock your head off. Let's see, Josiah, can you hammer that in, buddy? There you go. Sometimes with our clay here, it's harder to get the stakes all the way into the ground, so sometimes we have to come back with the hammer and just put those stakes in a little bit better, so that way there's no holes and gaps at the bottom where animals can escape. But the chickens are in the new area now, and they look like they're enjoying it, having some new greenery to eat on, as well as begin the fertilization process of our permaculture orchard area here. It's so neat to think back about how this area has changed and how it was just a year ago of all the trees that were here, and how difficult it was with all the trees that were just overgrown, how difficult it was to move the chickens around. It really was a process, it took a lot longer than it should have, a lot longer than it just took now to move the chickens around. And with moving those trees out, we have noticed that as we've done so, it's created more light for things to grow in our main garden. It's created more airflow around here, as well as we're actually able to start producing food in these areas. So this year we've added fruit trees in here. There's apples here, apple trees and pear trees that will hopefully be producing for us in the future, as well as we've been able to grow other things like squash here in this area. So we've took an area that was just wooded, not producing really anything that we could use, and made it productive. And as well as the trees that we did leave, the fruit trees that we left, like some of the persimmon trees, they have started to straighten up instead of being leaning over from trying to fight for the sun and get the light. And you notice they're producing more, as well as the apple trees that are here. We have some apple trees right here that have been here 6 years now, and they haven't produced any fruit. But this year, they are actually producing fruit, and they're starting to stand up straighter as well. So proper land management can bring a healthier environment if it's done correctly. So I'm not saying I did everything perfectly how I did it, but we're still working with the land and learning and trying to make it a mutually beneficial relationship for us and for the environment and the animals as well. So, oh, I forgot to mention also, with being able to do the chickens in here, we're able to get more eggs. So that's another added bonus. And speaking of land management, a number of you have been asking, and we just found out here recently that the property we have been really working hard to try to get for the past months actually went under contract with a higher bidder. So pretty bummed about that. We still really need some pasture area to do what we want to do here, as far as the animals we want to raise for meat production and a number of other things that we have in mind. So not sure where we're going to go directly from here. I may try to approach the people who are buying the land and seeing if we can maybe lease it or rent it from them, and maybe just checking around for other options. But it's definitely something, got to figure out how to make it happen. So bummed about that. So that's, I guess, the bad news for today. So thank you for those of you who contribute, when we will still plan to use the donations that you guys have given in that capacity in some way for attaining that goal of being able to raise the food and raise animals in a pasture area like we want. We just got to figure out plan B on how to do that. So thank you guys for that. But no victim mentality here. Things happen, negative things happen. You just got to keep pushing forward. Nobody's fault, so keep pushing forward. Check out how tall this corn stalk is. Regretfully, we still need to fertilize this area, so look forward to the chickens doing what they need to do here. But the height on that is pretty ridiculous. Too bad it's not having any corn on there. But I think it is the tallest corn stalk I have ever seen. Check this out. Just look here. Look how high that is. It's crazy. Hope it's actually producing one, so maybe you'll get something out of it. The other one I don't see anything, but that's crazy.
Hey, Daddy, check this out.
Whoa, what you got there?
A radish.
Whoa, that radish is pretty huge, man. So it shows that there's some capability of producing more here. That is huge. Well, I shared with them the bad news about the property, and it doesn't look like we're gonna be getting it because somebody else is under contract for it, so it is what it is. Some more bad news is, when I had whatever happened, the accident and hit my head, I was sore the next day, and then I've noticed like I was telling you guys about earlier, just noticing some really bad soreness in here and aching in here and then a little bit in my neck. And actually yesterday I didn't have any pain at all. But as I've been talking and running my mouth here on the video, I've noticed that it's been creeping up again. So sounds like I need to talk less. So, but enough with the bad news. Any good news?
Yeah, you know, a lot of people have been worried about Hazel and how skinny she was whenever she came here. But, you know, she has really gained a lot of weight. And I'm glad that she's just packing on the pounds for winter.
And we got some more good news from you guys right here. A number of different packages from some of you guys, and we really appreciate it. So we're gonna open them up. The kids have been wanting to do it, so now's the time to do it. You wanna do the honors?
Here we go. Our knife from MT Knives. Thanks, Patrick.
Excellent knife.
Oh, here we go.
An egg basket.
All of ours were on their last legs, so I stuck this on the wish list. And thank you.
Here we go. So that is gonna go to you, man, because you're gonna need that for your chickens.
And the egg basket is from Jennifer. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And I know it'll be really useful. Very useful.
Say thank you, Josiah, because that'll be one person.
Thank you, Jennifer, Miss Jennifer.
It came a little banged up in the mail. So, a new Scuffle Hoe.
There we go. Those always come in handy.
Yes.
You gonna use it, Micah?
Yep.
Or also known as a Hula Hoe.
Yeah. Or a stirrup hoe.
Or a stirrup hoe. Lots of names, same thing.
And this tool is actually one that we really enjoy using here on the homestead. We're constantly using it in the garden, and we actually have it listed in our Amazon store as a suggested tool for you guys, because we've put in that store a number of items that we really believe in and really think that you guys can benefit from on your homestead. So if you're looking for some items that you could possibly use that we highly recommend, make sure you check out the link in the show notes below, because there's a lot of good items that we have used that I would like for you guys to benefit from too. Oh, and this item looks like somebody jumped the gun and opened it already.
Yes, they did. This is a strainer. Like, I have one of these, but this one is so much like heavier duty, and I use this all the time. It sits in my sink kinda, and it's a dish drainer, it's a strainer, it's all different things, but I love these because they can fit any sink. So.
Sweet. So who jumped the gun and opening up this box first?
Me.
Oh, you? I was
Me.
gonna blame Josiah.
No, I'm the one that normally jumps the gun and opens them. Sorry.
And I'm like, wait, I want our viewers to be able to see some of these items too.
So please forgive me. We do love like all the gifts that everyone sends, and the letters and cards, and it's just, I don't know, it's so heartwarming, and thank you so much. And I'm sorry that I don't get to respond to everyone, but I just do want you to know we really are appreciative to every single viewer, whether you send us stuff or not. But just thank you so much.
And I also want to say thank you guys for the emails and messages you send us on Instagram, Facebook, things like that. We're not always able to respond right away, and sometimes it may be weeks later that we respond, so please forgive us on that end too. But thank you for your messages, especially all those of encouragement. We really appreciate it.
Okay, here we go. Oh, I know what this is. Who's in charge of compost? Oh.
Is that a compost bin?
It is a compost bin.
Sweet! I've been wanting some compost bins for quite some time.
So this is one we can sit right on the counter. Because normally I just put one of my bowls on the counter to use for scraps. But sometimes my bowls don't get brought back inside by some people that are standing in this room with me. So, not naming any names or anything. So, this will sit perfectly on the counter. And, you know, when it gets full, I can have someone take it out and bring it back, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Don't beat yourself up. Don't beat him up for him.
Yes, it's a filter so it doesn't smell.
Also, it's got a filter on it too.
Yeah, it looks like it has a little filter, and so maybe flies can't get down in there too.
That's good.
Perfect.
So we can set that right on the countertop, and then as food scraps are needing to be put in the compost, like we have some right here, they can go right in the bin and be transported out. By Micah.
And the compost bin comes from Julie. Thank you so much. And I know it'll be put to good use.
We got a box inside of a box. What a gift.
Hold on.
A box within a box. What if it was that? A box within a box within a box.
Oh.
Red one.
We had put 2 different compost bins on the wish list. So this
It'd be
is
mine.
a red
Oh,
one.
mine.
What, you want to take the compost out?
Sure.
Okay, we do have a wish list because a lot of people are constantly asking us what are some items that they could get for us, just because they really like to get us stuff, and we appreciate you guys for doing that. And we'll also provide that in the show notes below. But I put 2 compost bins on the wish list so we could have a compost bin for things like eggshells, and then we could have compost bins for other things depending on where we're going to take the compost, whether it be to one compost pile or to the chickens or something like that. So that way we could actually develop a system with our food scraps.
And this compost bin is from Myra. Thank you so much. And this was on our wish list. And we put things on our wish list, things that will be useful. I don't want people buying us just stuff to have stuff. I really want to have useful things. And please don't ever feel like you have to buy us anything, but just please know that we do appreciate it as well.
And we have one more box to open right over here. But before we open this box right here, I do want to mention that we also got this gift of a snake grabber not too long ago as well. And I actually was able to put it to use when a snake was in with the dogs. And I was able to get the snake out successfully and safely. And it's one of those snakes that you want to keep around. It wasn't a venomous snake at all. So last box here.
Here we go.
Oh, root slayer.
Yes, a root slayer.
Wow.
Well, let me tell you, this is a heavy duty shovel that works really great at cutting through roots. We do have one, but wow, we really, really like the one that we have.
Awesome. Thank you guys so very, very, very much. You guys really didn't have to do that, but we want to let you know that we really, really appreciate the items that you sent us. Thank you guys. Well, the boys and I are getting ready to head back outside. We got some work to do. We got some mulch here recently, and we're going to be spreading the wood chip mulch around the areas that we moved the chickens out of. And speaking of that, there was an area that the chickens were in earlier this year, and it had mulch and wood chips in it, and they just really went to town. And now that we're pulling back some of the mulches in their area, we just see some really, really good compost. It's just like really dark and rich, much different than some of the other areas around our homestead that's just so much clay. Well, I'm gonna stop yapping because my jaw is getting irritated a little bit, and we'll just have to see you guys next time.